So, clocking in at 7.78 million views as of today. Uploaded June 28, 2017. 165,000 likes, 1.2 million subscribers, and about 28,000 comments. This is crowbcat TF2 2007 and now.
Welcome to Team Fortress 2. After 9...
Right off the bat, I like this better. It's a lighter color, and it doesn't... It's not too much. It's also a little easier to read, but that's also because there's less stuff.
9 years in development, hopefully it will have been worth the wait.
Shinier. This looks like it's been sandpapered. This is annoying. Also, I like how I can see more of the gun in the view model and less of the hand. Reminds me a bit more of Doom, you know? Some real classic shooter stuff, focusing on the gun. It's shiny. It looks like a real minigun. Very nice. I can barely see this thing revving at all. This I can see revving, and it gradually goes to a faster speed, see? That's better. Also, this thing flashes sporadically like it's supposed to. This thing is this muzzle flash is far more consistent, a bit watered down. Bullet spread is wider. Not much to say there, it's preference. Well, it's kind of the same bullet spread. Okay, this is 2007. Nice shading all around. I like the deeper contrast in the shadows, makes it look a bit more realistic. And they completely sterilize it and basically remove the need for shadows in the game at all. I mean, look at this. Here, I'm going to squint my camera down a little bit so you guys can see. Especially right here. This part has a shadow on it, which implies that there's a bit more definition to that part of the weapon. It's really nice. The cord here has a little bit of glisten to it. We have this shiny part of the ventilator system, I think, and it just overall makes it look like it's actually made out of steel or something, you know? And then this kind of looks like it's been made out of like polished plastic. These parts more so. You could arguably say that this is metal. I don't know what's going on over here. The thing isn't even lit, which makes me upset. This whole shadow thing is gone, and now it just looks flat and boring. The shading on the handle and the trigger is all gone. The cord has barely any definition at all. And now it's lit. Okay. Okay, so that was a comparison. TF2 now. Like, look at that. This... Here, let me back it up a bunch of frames. This is alright, but this looks far more domineering. Let me back it up. And like, if you take the fact that it's lit, first of all, which is how it appears in Meet the Pyro, and secondly, if you take the fact that there's shadows on it, implying that there's actual depth into the character instead of something flat that you could render out in like your average Autodesk Maya animation, and the shadows on it and the less distinguishability of the labels. Also, nice napalm grenades. Love that. This just looks better. It looks way more like a real weapon. It looks like an actual weapon, to be honest. This is just... I don't even know what happened here. This just looks like all of the shaders were removed. Also, what's with the background here? They basically stripped the background out, too. That's a big annoying thing for me. Here, let me... There we go. Like, look, you've got In 2007, you have more definition of a camera, okay? And now you can barely see the light of it at all if you're really paying attention. This is far more present because there's more light on it, but the shadows in the back are darker. It gives some more depth. The shadows up on the ceiling are very distinct. I know that there's a little fade border on the YouTube thing, but if you cut to this frame, it's a bit like this shadow area over here is less distinct. For some reason, the bars get darker. This thing is like either added shaders for some reason or just decided to like change the color. I think it's a color difference though, because this thing changes too. But anyways, what is this? This looks like it's been matted. Like, I don't understand. It looks like it's been matted down. Like, look at that. That's a real weapon. This is nothing. Look, there's even definition here on the buckle strap. Like, this looks like an actual belt strap, you know? And then there's this, where it sticks out more. You've got more detail added to the belts and straps that hold it in place. This, you can barely see most of it. You can't even see this part. I don't even know what happened here. This just looks like a steel buckle with a very, very odd strap on it. This is far more... the 2007 version is far more responsive to light because it actually looks like it's made out of metal. I'm gonna back that up again. Like, if I defocus my eyes, my eyes start to veer towards the left one because there's much more happening, even though there's not anything actually happening at all because it's far more responsive to light. This is criminal. This looks like it's made out of cardboard. This looks like it's made out of something, you know, polished up. I mean, look at that. That's polish, man. That's like add lacquer on it for the handle polish. This, barely there at all. This doesn't even look like it's made out of metal. This looks like you just pulled it off a 100-year-old dusty shelf. Excuse me. And this is actual metal. Again, way more responsive to light. You're seeing more light pop out as he's turning towards the sunlight. There's barely any of that happening right here. Okay, Medigun. Oh, I missed that. That was a pretty fast one. Right? Or no? So this is the 2007 Medigun. Again, what's the deal with removing the actual definition of what makes it a weapon? It's like, look at that. That is slick. That is slick. I mean, there's even a change of the design of the glove. Makes the elbow stick out a little more. Makes it look a little better, actually. But, like, this, like, it doesn't look like very much of a cord anymore. Like an elastic cord that actually would connect. You've got this all shiny, all metal, all looks like it's been refined. You've got some straps along the side for, I don't know, emergency tourniquets or something. This looks squared off and kind of annoying. The handle's a little better on this one. I just like the sharper corners. All the shine removed. Like nothing. Look at even the handle design is somehow screwed up. Like the screws just look sterilized almost. It's weird. And the red isn't even that present anymore either. Like this dampened red as opposed to the shinier, even more metallic looking. If I could just get that frame back. Like this. Like somehow the shine just adds a little more presence to the red. Makes it pop out a little more. This does not. 2007? TF2 now. Okay. That was too fast. That was way too fast. Okay, so you've got this right here. Pretty nice. You got your straps still. You've got the red right here. You can see it. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Shortened the end of it for some reason. And proceeds to, what? Remove any sort of color definition as opposed to medium gray, black, light gray, black, dark gray, red with like rusted red with paint chips, more light gray and dark gray mixes, and now it's just all gray. Like there's 2 shades of gray as opposed to the 10 in this one. And then there's a little bit of red. Like, look, even this looks better. Because it looks like it's been beat up more. It looks like it's actually seen some really good use. This looks less used. There's even a paint defect here on the side. Like, that looks actually cosmetically interesting. Like, if you're really looking at it. This minigun, I swear. It looks a little hazy on this part. So this kind of thing is a nice cleanup of sorts. Also, I like because I can see the bolts and the vents aren't as, like, compressed and stuff. But then they compress these screws on the drum even more than they do on these. Like, I can actually see more screws on this. Again, this is nice and shiny. Looks like it's chrome or something. This just looks generic. This is polished. Looks like he actually takes care of his gun. This does not. Polished. Not. This screw image looks a little compressed, but instead of fixing it, they just decide to delete it altogether, and now it just looks like some oblong thing that he just slapped on there with a sticky pad. The rest of it, not much to say. The buttons on the back are the same. The piping is practically the same, although there's a little more shine on this curved thing, which then brings out more shadow and the idea that there's more rust on there, even though it's probably practically the same. This just looks better. Yeah, again, compressed screw image. Then there's a screw up here. I don't remember seeing that earlier. Like, and then there's these hatches down here that I'm pretty sure... Oh, he didn't... Okay, yeah, and then these screws kind of dampened a little bit. This screw, much less present. I didn't even know that it was there before. This thing, where's the screw? It's gone. Didn't even bother fixing the actual texture piece. Like, because look, this sticks out because of how responsive it is to light, and it's probably like a new lug nut. And now it's just like as opposed to something that pops out to light, now you have something very sterilized. Something that doesn't look nearly as significant. There's shine here, looks like he actually uses this thing. This just looks plastic. 2007. Okay, this is the weird part for me. Is that it goes from something very bright and stuff that's like could actually make sense to something with very heavy shadows and much gloomier for some reason. Like, I'm noticing even in the backdrops, there's a lot more shadow when there really doesn't need to be. Like, there doesn't need to be that much shadow on this thing, because that's not really how real life works. This is technically better. I think an in-between, between this and this, would probably be as realistic as you could get for this type of thing. But all of a sudden, everything that's made out of something outdoor materials just becomes dark. Like, almost everything except the concrete and the dirt on top gets darker. Like, I swear, even the water gets a little darker. That might be just me, but, like, the fence is darker. The sheet metal fence and the razor wire fence with the diamond chain link. Like, it's a... I don't know why it's so dark. This is great. I love this part of Well. And then they strip it. They completely strip the wall. Like, the red sign is still here. And it says red shed, because sometimes you just can't see this from your vantage point. Red, you know? And then they just remove a bunch of detail from the cart here, or add more shadows to it, which again is not how it works. And then for some reason there's lights up here in these windows, even though no such things exist. They removed some brick, but only on one side. Like, there's some slight shadow details up here, like this one is a little darker in the 2007 version, and then they kind of brighten it up in the now. Red Distillery since 1934. Red Shed 1934. Yeah. And then somehow these windows get a little darker. That's fine. There's a shadow here. There's a shadow here by the lamppost on the little beam right here. I didn't even notice that until just now. But that's such an interesting detail when you consider the fact that they freaking remove it in the now version, like the sun, there is no evidence in any of these photos that the sun moved over just enough to where the shadow would have moved. It's also dusk, so the sun wouldn't have moved to the side. This is the skyline of like 5:30 in the middle of the autumn, you know? Sun's starting to go down. Or maybe that's winter, because 5:30, that's pretty early for the sun to start going down. But yeah. Again, I just don't like how the shadows are taken out. This part, they kind of remove the shadows in the definition. Excuse me, I just ate dinner. On the light, they removed the definition of the light a little bit and just kind of blanked it out. Nothing to remark on the wood. This thing removed, that's annoying. They removed some of the brick lining up here and a little bit of the wood lining up here too. They removed the shadow of the lamppost from the lamppost itself and the shadow that it casts. And now it just kind of look at that. Look at the difference. Like, jeez, guys. I'm trying to look around. The funny thing about removing the brick layering and the wood thing is that it only happens on one side. Like, it doesn't happen right here. The only thing that happens right here is these weird lighting things, and this stupid train cart gets wrecked. Okay, 2007, spawn room for Two Fort. Okay. Can't pause it on the exact frame. Is this a 60 frame per second video? Yeah, it is. Okay. That's why it's taking so long. Okay, 2007. Looks pretty solid. You've got light that reflects off a white floor to bounce back up onto the pipes. Pretty good. Pretty good. I like it. This roofing kind of reminds me of the roof of my church, because my church space is actually a former gym, because we don't have our own building yet, sadly. And the roofing is very similar to this, so it kills the acoustics. There's no acoustics in the building. It kills all the voices of the choir when they sing. It's kind of sad. But it's similar to this with like it's like the big modern day venting systems that go out and like actually drop air. This is more like plumbing stuff. But again, these pipes exist in my church as well, because these appear to be plumbing lines due to the specific rust and the layout of the pipes themselves, you know. And then somehow they just get darker because I guess light doesn't reflect off of anything, especially off a shiny white floor. We've also got a bit of a dimmer spawn room as opposed to the spawn lobby. The diamond pattern is darker for some reason and more present on the door, which I actually like. It dims the room out a bit, but it looks better than the compressed image of the nowadays, you know? Because all of a sudden the diamond link is basically gone. I guess they were complaining that like it couldn't be seen, but I don't see a problem with it. Also, this cabinet gets darker, and I don't know why. Also, the now has the little intelligence thing here in the corner. I kind of find that funny. But yeah, everything's just basically darker in the now version. 2007. This is CP Granary, I believe it is. Is this Granary, or is this I want to say this is Granary. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. I know this is a map that I play on Pre-Fortress 2 all the time. Okay. This is a great reason why you guys should play Pre-Fortress 2, because Pre-Fortress 2 actually has the 2007 shaders. Everything actually looks really good, as opposed to something more sterilized in this one. So first things that I'm noticing are the shadows here on the right. On this one, you've got shadow of the window up here, and the blue thing up here, and the cactus thing, or no, not the cactus, that's a tree, I'm sorry. That's a tree right here. And that shadow is basically removed on all three of these locations. Also, there's shadows up here in the windows. For some reason, in the now version, there's a shadow added to this thing that has a light that is clearly on, but there's a shadow on it. And there's a light on in the window, and there's not a light on in the window in this one. Colors are a bit more subtle in this one on some of the buildings, like this red stripe right here. Not much change on the window itself. Just some dampening of the paint structure overall. 2007, the lights are on in the poster here, and then for some reason they're dimmer in the now. For some reason the backdrop here is a little darker. Maybe it's because the smoke moved, but I don't see a difference really in the smoke trails. 2007, you can actually see a lot of the sheet metal and the wood that goes into building this capture tower, especially this thing up here. And in the now, it's darkened, severely darkened. The contrast of the sun is significant, and maybe that's because of the sunset, but the shadows of the building itself are still the exact same contrast. Also, nice detail of the wood planks moving a little bit. I don't know why they did that. Also, what's this glitch thing over here? Hang on. There we go. Let me find the frame again. Shadow movements over here, not really anything notable considering that's another part of the map. More shadow glitches down here. Light down here for some reason, even though this is supposed to be basically encased in shadow because of how the building is laid out. This entire bottom floor should be encased in some sense of a shadow, which is a little more notable in here, but, you know. Okay, 2007, the links between the battlements and intelligence rooms of 2 Fort, with this ventilation shaft, kind of similar to the ones that are in my church. Okay, and so first thing, this is darker. Ventilation shaft is way darker. The camera, for some reason, is darker, even though there's no indication of a lack of light on this. And I know that you add, like, invisible lights to certain assets so that they become more present, but I don't know why you're removing certain lights that don't apply to all textures. Because this thing gets darker and this thing gets darker, but this gets darker without any of the other part of the hallway being darker. Same with this. Now, there's a slight bit of consistency here because this alarm bell, speaker, I should say, and the crossbeams right here do darken as well, but the roof and this wall right here does not line up with it. In fact, no part of it does, but only the under parts of certain textures do, and for some reason in the now, this light in the way back is slightly brighter. Even though there's no change in the ray that it casts, it's just the volume of the whiteness. This light barely changes in brightness at all. It's actually a little brighter in the 2007 version. Again, it's kind of nuts. Again, look at this inconsistency. In the 2007 version, you got this little pyramid piece that hangs off, that the light hangs off of to connect to the ventilation shaft. You darken it, but this thing is still the same. So are the lights too. It's really weird comparing them. Comparing all these inconsistencies, and the lights don't even change down here, which is what I thought would change the most. So, all right. 2007, this is the hallway up to the battlements, up the spiral staircase from the intelligence room in the red sewers this time. Again, okay, this time there's not that much to speak of because the only thing that really changes is that the texture slightly changes on the wall due to light differences. They removed a bunch of the small ambient lights that are probably hidden up in the ceiling in the resources, and they just kind of made it super dark. I don't know why. 2007, again, really dark in the now version, whereas in this one you can see more of the actual red wood. Gives it a nice bit more detail like it actually would, like this would actually shine through. And I know because I have a red shed that's built all out of wood, you know, it's like one of those big barn sheds, and there's not even that much light. There's one source of light, and it comes from the window on the opposite side from the door. That's the only entrance and exit point of the shed. And it's far better lit from that one window than this one, sorry excuse of a skylight. Yeah, everything's just darker. This texture's darker. Even this light down here at the bottom, for some reason, is kind of not doing its job. Nothing changes about the intelligence sign, really. Just a lot of flashing right here. This. I just like this better. There's more color. There's more to see. I like it more. You know? Okay, 2007 blue. hallway between the intelligence and the battlements from the other side. So if we take the scene 2 scenes prior and we rotate the camera like 180 degrees facing the data centers and the fire extinguisher, because down here is the resupply room. Again, why did you make everything dark? It's so dark. I can't even see what that's supposed to be. And the lights don't even change for the glowing button assets that you have. Like, if anything, you're just making the buttons glow more, which I guess is fine, but, like, that's not necessary. Also, health pack right there. Nice. Everything's just darker. I don't know why. This, again, not much to speak of, just that this gets significantly darker on most all these things, except this thing. The chairs and these machines get darker, but not this thing. Why? Oh yeah, this is the closet that we saw in the Red 2 Fort spawn lobby, and this just gets darker. There's nothing really to speak of on, like, texture changes or what have you, because there aren't any. It just gets darker and brighter. Okay, this is the entrance from the resupply room on the other battlement side of 2 Fort, blue side. I don't understand why it's so dark up there, or right here for that matter. It kind of works. I can kind of see where this is going because there's a concrete overhang that encases this thing in shadow, because there's no light that actually bounces out into here, because there's light over here that for some reason is... What even is that light? I don't even know what that is. The camera gets darker again for some reason without the wall or the surrounding ceiling getting any darker. This gets darker, and so does the beam, but the ceiling doesn't change at all. I don't know why it's inconsistent like that. Okay, yeah, there's practically, like, no change other from the fact that the fence just gets darker. For some reason this changes, but that's neither here nor there. Just a little texture change on the sewer, the sewage overflow parts. And this gets darker too. Even the backdrop gets darker here. And a lot of the backdrop stuff here too, like these plumbing pipes. And even the barn out here. No, that's a fence post, sorry. But yeah, it's just weird how it gets darker all of a sudden and less distinguishable. This is the dumbest one. The rock, oh my gosh, look at this. I don't even need to go frame by frame to display it. It's one thing. It's the rock and the pipe behind it. And that's it. The texturing around it doesn't work with it. This does not work at all. It's so contrasted to the ground and the water and literally everything else, because all that changed is the rock and the pipe behind it, which doesn't even matter because it's supposed to be a shadow from the rock anyways. This is weird. They remove the red patches from the sheet metal and kind of add up some touches over here on this side. I don't know why they decided to do that. This looks better anyways because I can see the corner of the piece of wood, whereas in this one it's kind of blurry. Also, there's supposed to be a shadow right here because this does not actually meet the ground. This isn't flush, as you can also tell by this one. This one doesn't have that problem. This one also has a shadow underneath it, but not under this one. But it has a shadow underneath this one and not this one in 2000. It's weird. But this pipe gets brighter in the 2007 with the red, and then it kind of dims out again. 2007, the demoman's melee weapon. I've always liked the bullet holes of the older versions because they actually get darker and darker as they stack, instead of just remaining the same and just looking like you're stacking the same PNG on top of each other and over and over. Like, there's an actual stacking function, and the hole appears to get deeper, which is really cool. And the bottle breaks. I used to think when I first joined TF2 that the bottle was more powerful when it broke, because every time I got hit by a bottle from a demo man, it was a random crit, and I always thought, and I was just very unfortunate at the time, and it never happened that often. It happened maybe like 1 or 2 times, but my brain associated a broken bottle with a guaranteed crit. Come to find that's not the actual case, and I was very sad. Okay, Pre-Fortress 2 has this revolver, the objectively better revolver skin. Look at the glistening of it. Look how it's actually made of black stainless steel. Like, look at this thing, and then look at this thing. This is objectively superior, this 2007 version. I'm so glad this is the one that's in Pre-Fortress 2. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that hammer, too. Like, you can see the detail of the gripping of the hammer. It's so perfect. And this has it, but it's very compressed. This also has a little bit of the same texturing at the tip of the hammer as right here on the side. And you don't have that here. You don't have the shine right here, which is definitely where it's supposed to be. A lot more detail on the barrel. I'm sorry, not the barrel. This is the barrel. I'm sorry. I'm still learning about guns. The bolts right here are much more noticeable due to the light and how it reacts to the light, unlike this stupid thing. The sight line right here is rusted out a little bit and like chipped off, which I really like. It makes it feel like it makes it look like it's been very used. Also, I think this logo is a little better because it's got a bit more detail on the edge as opposed to this one. This looks like the new Jedi Order logo from one of the Star Wars novels. You fire the revolver. Oh. But did you see that? Did you see that, lads? This barrel... that's not the barrel. I don't remember what to call it. I'm so dumb. Hold on. I gotta look this up. Is it the cylinder? It's a cylinder. Okay. Okay. So, the cylinder... Now that I know what it's called, the cylinder moves as you shoot it. And granted, there isn't an empty spot for the bullet. I'm not even gonna. There's not an empty spot for the bullet that was fired, but you kind of get it. It does also seem like it's one of those revolvers that like you flick out the switch and you feed out the... It looks like one of those 22 revolvers. I've shot a 22 revolver before. And it was one of those things where you flick the little stick out and it pushes all of the shells out. This one does not spin, which is very upsetting. Also, look. Even the little edges of the shells that stick out react to the light. That's pretty significant. Hang on, I gotta do this frame by frame. Okay, so when it empties, it spins out even though there's no mechanism for it to spin out. Let's go very slow motion here. Much better reloading animation because you get to see more. And I know people complain about it taking up more of their screen, but guys, come on, it's literally 1 second. It's just much better, much better. Again, this Medigun is great. Deeper red, but not dark. It's deeper and it's shinier. This Medigun is overall way better. This thing is actually clear, whereas this thing, I can't even tell. Beautiful. Beautiful Medigun. Though not many changes, just in regards to the lighting is... Spinning barrel! Like it should be. Lazy. 2007, you did it right. TF2 now, you're lazy. Do better. That knife is huge. It's way bigger in this one. Actually, it looks pretty good. 2007, now, way smaller. 2007, okay. Look at that! Dude! When he breaks the Sapper actually breaks apart with all of the pieces. That's the actual Sapper itself. Look at that. Looks like it's actually been beaten in with a wrench. It's perfect. Team Fortress 2 now, it just disappears. I don't get it, man. It just disappears. Any shards go through the floor. 2007 stock pistol for the engineer and the scout. Nice, very shiny. Looks like it's made of chrome or something, but it's nice, a little bluish. I like it. I really like it. Golly, they took all the shine out of it. They removed all the niceness about it. Like, I know you can't really see the gutter, but you can still kind of see it. Look at that. That doesn't look nearly as pretty. The shotgun is so much better in this one. More shadows, more reactive to light, like the rest of them. That's mainly the biggest thing. The water animation is great. Looks much deeper. Looks actually realistic because these little swirlies are just clouds. And clouds don't appear in the water when you shoot them. When you shoot water, there's no clouds that pop out. But these little splash rings, those are there. Like, you can tell that there's splash rings. Like, look, there are no clouds that come out of shooting a shotgun in the water. These splash rings are there, though. Again, laziness. My gosh. Okay. This is interesting. Because this is alright. But the shading on this scout somehow is actually better. I really like the pre-Fortress 2 models, obviously, because I'm a pre-Fortress 2 player. But this scout image looks far more domineering. There's a lot more shadow on the parts of the body where there should be shadows. This looks like he's getting a light blasted right in his face, whereas this one is a bit more offset. I kind of like it. You can see more of his eyes because of how the shadows in his eye socket respond to the light, and in his jawline and cheekbones too. He actually looks very sinister in this one almost, whereas this one's just kind of flat. Same teeth grit. Very nice. Oh boy, grenade launcher. Grenade launcher in the 2007 versus now. First thing I notice, aside from the fact that this is a nicer shade of gray than this one, just because I happen to like a slightly darker shade of gray as opposed to this one, because this one's too light for my taste. This looks like it has actual shells in it. There's nothing in here. Haha! He even pointed it out with the lights. That's great. That's so great. He actually pointed out that there's actual shells in here. This one's empty! Again, nothing. Even though we were watching him reload the same pills. Look, we see a pill go in. Now there's pills. This one doesn't have pills. brother, what is going on? 2007 for the win again. I love the shading of this sniper rifle. Dude, look at that. It's a little darker right here, but the cord doesn't look nearly as polygonal as this one, first of all. But second of all, the army green mixed with this brown is very nice. You can see more details on the part where the scope meets the rifle, where these are kind of muted or straight out compressed altogether. I actually like this minor part of the rifle right here. This one could probably use it. But other than that, this one is better than it in almost every other way. This is the pullback for the release. And I'm noticing that this one actually opens at a slightly different time than this one. But that might just be a timing issue. This glass looks fogged up and messy. This one does too, but this one looks shinier. It looks more like glass than this one. This one just looks like a plastic ball that you get from Walmart that you just steal from the store because you never actually buy it. This one doesn't. This seal around the scope doesn't actually look rubber, whereas this one does. Again, this one is actually more slightly polygonal. Same with the scope cover. This one's actually smoother. So like if you could smooth out the sniper rifle, because this one is more circular overall. But so if you could smooth it out but keep the colors, that would be sick. Bullet casing falls out like it should. Okay, releases from there. That's good. Oh. Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. It kind of releases from the actual... I don't even know where that comes from. It just kind of appears. TF2 now. What the heck? Ching. That's where it's supposed to go. Ching. Yeet. That is weird. That is weird. Okay. Blood graphics. Kind of depends on your taste, to be honest, because there's not too much of a difference. I remember this. Because in Pre-Fortress 2, because it's what Beta TF2 was in 2007, with the grenades and all that, you can pick up weapons as ammo drops without, and there's not going to be an ammo box that drops, because that doesn't make sense. They said that in the advice for one of the classes, when I first loaded up a casual match, it's like, you can pick up weapons as ammo. And I'm like, great. But then I couldn't do it, and I was very confused. And then I played Pre-Fortress 2, and it turns out I actually could do it, which was great, because playing Engineer became immediately much more fun when I could just pick up everyone's scraps. It was great. So great. This TF2 now doesn't do that. Instead, they drop ammo boxes for some reason, even though you can't see where they would be carrying that. Again, shotgun is way better. This barrel is nice. Oh, whoa! What have we here? Ooh, rolling. Yes, we have the rolling weapons. Yes, and sliding reactions to actual momentum. That's beautiful. Look at those shiny. Look at that. Look at how shiny they are. Oh my gosh! Look how reactive to light they are. That's so good. That. And now they don't even roll. Not even realistic, not even close. ...2007, these are the rockets in one or two types of maps that I do not remember for the life of me. Nice smoke pattern, by the way, actually. It's nice and thick. The clouds, the puffs are nice and thick. You can still see through them, though. Nice puffs. And then, again, darker shading all around. The puffs are not as thick, not as present, and very squarish, if you didn't notice the fact that they were kind of bleeding off. Look, this actually has steam vapor that trails off around because that's realistic. There's a vapor around it. And this is very much confined inside of its one space. Oh yeah, these are like the old sounds when they swapped them from the Quake sounds, I think it was. Anyways, oh, that's funny. Strange rocket launcher. Anyways, that was me reacting to just how badly Valve insisted on botching TF2 from 2007 as opposed to now. And I will remind you again that now, according to this video, is 2017. And it has not improved 5 years later. No, 5 years would be 2022. 6 years later. 6 years later, and it has not improved. I'm sorry to inform you, Mr. crowbcat. So, what do the comments say in this one? I can't wrap my head around the fact the old weapons look better. 8.1 thousand likes, yep. I can't believe he time traveled to get this footage. 8,000 likes. They had to optimize all those little details away to make room for more hats. Top comment, 38,000 likes. Yeah, it's true. When I was young, I thought the Demoman's broken bottle did more damage than the regular non-broken one. I'm not the only one. The reason they did this is because in the source game engine, there can only be 2,048 entities, objects, props, hats, lights, etc. So Valve removed unnecessary entities and animations due to the fact that so many people were wearing the fancy new shiny hats they released. And you go on a 32-player multiplayer server where everyone has a hat, you reach that asset limit, and possibly even more than the limit too. 15,000 likes. Source spaghetti. Same thing happened to CSGO. Yeah. The revolver cylinder doesn't spin anymore. Dear God. There's more. And the reload puts bullets where the bullets are. Great. Yeah, that's true. Ubisoft downgrade game before release. Valve downgrade game 10 years after release. 18,000 likes. Oof. What's really interesting about the first-person view models, actually, you can see that a lot of the weapons get visually smaller and narrower, move from positions and have their animations change that generally make them less prominent. That's entirely deliberate. It's to keep the weapon models from getting in the way of your camera as much as possible, and was a change introduced over time based on player feedback. I distinctly remember the Spy's revolver animation change being announced as along the lines of Spy no longer hits himself in the face with his revolver while reloading, which was the exaggeration but did significantly change how much of the screen it took up. Yes, that's true. The reload animation for the 2007 revolver is a lot. I personally don't mind it because it's just a reload animation and that's not what I'm focusing on anyways, so I don't care. I'm just there to play the game. Like, unless it takes up actual 80% of the screen, then, like, I'm fine with it. Ultimately, the people who really care about this use mods or alter the game state to turn view models off or transparent, etc. So, to some extent, it's for naught. Computer screens are also much wider and work with more real estate on average nowadays than when they did when TF2 was first developed. But it does also make it so that even random screwballs like myself can benefit from the improved visibility, though it definitely comes at the cost of some of the view model's charm, which was an equally important part of TF2's strengths. Every one of the changes in this video came about as the result of some sort of trade-off, usually boosting performance and gameplay functionality over parts of the original game's aesthetic. Whether that was a good idea for a trade-off is entirely a matter of opinion, of course, but there was sound reasoning behind it. Good comment, you have my like. The hell is wrong with Scout? He became like a war veteran who saw it all. True! People are time-stamping stuff. I knew it! You could break the bottle in earlier builds. It wasn't a fever dream after all. 12,000 likes. Yes, exactly. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm going to do this so that I can see all the comments. "2007 Spy, yo dog, can I get a backstab? Valve, only a spoonful." 2007 Spy pulls out comically large knife. It's true, that knife was enormous. My gosh, that was like a Shaquille O'Neal knife. Goodness. "2017. I assume models were simplified to accommodate weapon skins, which I'm not a fan of, though I'm glad they removed the grunting from fall damage, as the grunting didn't match with the actual characters' voices." Yeah, originally it was stuff from the actual Team Fortress Quake mod, so it was a lot of Quake sounds, or Team Fortress Classic sounds. I didn't know those sounds existed, though. Those seem rare to me. Spy, they downgraded most of our looks. Soldier, dear God. Spy, there's more. Soldier, no. Yeah. At least I now know that breaking the demo's bottles, spinning barrels / rounds, sappers falling on the ground, and grunting noises were real and not a fragment of my imagination. Yes! Oh my gosh, yes. The most relatable thing after watching this video.